All right, this is an 80-gallon air compressor tank that I got from my work. Stopped working. I think the motor burned out or something, so we wound up just getting a whole new one. But here I am just pulling off the motor bracket, and then it's kind of like the check valve and the air line that goes into the tank. That's what I'm pulling off here. And yeah, I'll just get everything all cleaned up. Some details of the tank to follow. This is the old air compressor, as you can see here. It's 80 gallons, built in 1996. And it's an upright compressor tank. And I think it's going to make a pretty okay smoker. Alright, so now I'm just kind of getting the frame going here, getting some 2" by 2". Can't remember if this is 1/8 wall or 14 gauge mild steel, but it is a 2" square tubing. It's pretty common for some of the frames that I build for these smokers. But the actual wall thickness of the compressor tank itself is right around 3/16 inch thick. Some places were a little bit thicker, but that was about the average. So not a bad little compressor tank to utilize for this. So yep, basic rectangle function here. Getting the welds down here and grinding off that zinc coating on these casters so I can just weld them right on there. And then I'll cut some uprights to basically the support struts that'll hold the smoker chamber itself. We'll get that going here in just a second. But yeah, lots of cutting, a lot of welding, kind of a lot of figuring it out as I go. I don't really make super detailed plans before I start building. like here, trying to get the tank up off the ground and onto the smoker legs. And that way I can start laying things out and cutting off these legs. Realistically, these legs probably could have easily just been cut off with a grinder and a cutoff wheel, but I think I was just plasma cutter happy that day, so cut everything off and got the fitting off there, and then kind of the lower section where the firebox was made up to the cook chamber. And that went pretty good. Yeah, quite a bit of cutting. Quite a bit of grinding. The interior on these things are nasty with their air compressor. There's a lot of rust. But here we go. I'm just wire wheeling off some of the paint.
That's a pain in the ass. It takes quite a bit of time too. Not to mention tingly hands.
Yeah, the tingly hands deal is no joke. Anybody that's ground metal or anything for any amount of time can attest to that. So it's a thing. But there I was, just laying out the door and then cutting it out with the plasma cutter. It was pretty straightforward, just making sure that I have the door exactly how I want it. I actually was able to reach in and weld on these supports prior to cutting out the door. That way it'll kind of reduce the spring effect, because as soon as you cut these things out, that metal wants to relax and kind of go back to where it was. So just weld those on from the inside after I cut that little section for the firebox out. And worked out pretty decent. And yeah, there I was, just kind of actually welding to the legs to the cook chamber body. And now I was just patching a hole from where one of the fittings were that I cut out, and then grinding it smooth. And now it's time for the door flanges. And this is, I think, the first time that I stopped doing the kind of the spot weld tactic. These are just, I think, inch-long beads to kind of keep the flanges together and kind of go a different route that way. And I like the way it looks. And here I'm just laying out the firebox kind of interior plate pattern. This is actually the end plate of the firebox. This is where, you know, it'll connect to the actual cook chamber, and that's what I'm cutting out right here. That half circle is the throat that goes into, or the exchange, I think is what it's called as well. But I am doing a V-bottom. That's a 4-inch flat piece of 1/4-inch steel flat bar, and then all the rest of the plates are 3/16. But I did this V-bottom here because the flat bottoms, honestly, just they don't work as well. As far as establishing and maintaining a coal bed, you can totally do it, but that V-bottom really does help. So kind of mimics the function of the pipe style fireboxes that a lot of other people do. And I know Bradley Robinson down at Chud's Barbecue, he has his V-bottom here that he's been doing for a while, so there was an inspiration there, and I figured, hey, may as well give it a whirl and see what's up. And I gotta tell you, it is really nice going that route. So highly recommend if you're building your own pit, give this V-bottom a try. It really does make fire management a breeze. Now it's time to put the bottom of the firebox onto the cook chamber. That way I have something to kind of land the interior of the firebox onto, and that way the height's all right, and you know, I can put it in here, weld it in place. Got the exchange shot here, welding it in. It's kind of cool. The crane, again, saving my back, allowing me to place this thing right. And there's going to be a whole series here where it's basically just welding, just filling in all the seams, and then we go on here to cutting out the actual firebox door. And I did this from the inside out. That way I could just have a little bit of a standoff from the inside, kind of a lip. For no other reason other than it seemed just easier to cut it out that way, and worked all right. And here I'm welding on. I didn't really get a good shot of it, but I'm welding on additional kind of what would you want to call it, angle iron supports, just so that those edges or the actual V portion of the firebox doesn't sag or anything. You can see all the welds here while we're looking at the interior of the firebox. I just figured it would help with rigidity. This top plate here that I'm putting on right now, that is the other piece of 1/4 inch thick steel. So I figured, since I wasn't insulating the top, because we could always use that as a griddle, or, you know, heat up the wood extra quick if we need to prior to throwing it into the fire, just preheating logs. So I was like, I'll go a little bit thicker on that one. But yeah, getting everything welded out. You can see, and you'll see later, these areas where the legs were for the compressor tank, when I cut them off, I do fill those in with some weld and some round bar, but I decided to not grind it down all smooth. I figured I'd let this thing kind of stay ugly, just a little bit of a rat rod effect that I kind of like. This clip here is just showing if you're doing any metal fabrication on your own, welding stuff temporarily for, you know, rests and guides is just super helpful. So highly recommend it. Don't worry about marking things up, I mean, or keeping everything pretty. You can always polish stuff up after the fact, and do your back or any part of your body a favor and not just try to muscle things in. Use the metal. Now it's time to drill the hole for the handle bolt, and then get the door all lined up and in place, and weld on these bullet hinges. And I like these with the grease zerks on top. These bullet hinges are actually really, really strong, and you can get quite a bit of years out of these things. And if you start to get squeaky hinges, at least you can grease them up. I did buy some a food grade grease tube to put in my grease gun, so it's always nice. But yeah, pretty standard handle design, just a flat bar with another chunk of, I don't even know, just stainless round bar, and then I got those cool touch handle kind of spiral stainless steel handle covers that go on there, and then just using a 3-inch gusset here to act as the handle latch. And it just got 2 positions. As you can see, there's no complex air controls here. It's just shut or that first notch cracked open, and it works really well. I like that method a lot. And now here I'm cutting out a piece just to kind of fit in that hole that was right here. And so I am plugging these holes, filling them up with some scrap pieces of metal. I mean, they're new. They're not like old nasty pieces of metal or anything, but using some round bar just to fill in the gaps, and then welding over everything. And these are the things that I said. Basically, I just welded over and didn't grind smooth or anything. I wasn't trying to make this thing showroom pretty. Kind of wanted it to keep its scars. And I don't know, that way maybe it'd be a conversation generator so I could tell people, you know, about its history, but whatever. Maybe I was just lazy too. Alright, so here I am getting this door put on here. Same hinges as the firebox door, so they work really well. And then another handle. I just buy these off Amazon. I think they're like 15 bucks or something, and they work just fine. So I'll get those welded on. Now here, this is on the smokestack end. So no collector, since this is an actual tank. So we have that kind of bulbous portion at the end, so no reason to make a collector. So I figured I'd just trace out the spot for this guy. 6-inch Schedule 40 pipe elbow. These things are pretty heavy. And it was fun kind of getting everything lined up and level and cleaned up and ready for for welding. I'm not a pipe welder or anything like that. Never have been. And but it was fun to kind of look into this and see some of the methods used and how to do it kind of quote unquote properly. And it was a good time. And here I'm just cutting down the stack. I think I had originally a 48-inch or 4-foot length of pipe there, and I needed to knock it down, I think, to 42 inches. And that's because I think a couple inches actually slide into the pipe elbow here. You can see a little mark there. But yeah, it was kind of cool. That way it almost acted like a socket weld, even though these are butt weld pipe elbows. But either way. So got that thing all plumb and level and just welded it in place. And I'm using the drop piece to kind of act as a template so I can make the damper here for the smokestack and a little ear. And I'll get this thing cut out with the plasma and get it installed here. So there's plenty of ways to skin this cat as far as installing the damper. I went really basic, just a couple of pieces of DOM tubing and some 1/2-inch round bar, and just kind of welded it in place. It was nothing fancy. Same thing with this door stopper, so that way the cook chamber door could stay upright. Just some 1-inch square tubing and welded it in place. Nothing super fancy. And then here I was just plasma cutting out a hole. This is a 1/2-inch weld OLED, or like a weld bung, because it's got a 1/2-inch female MPT threads, and that's what the temperature gauge threads into. So cut a quick hole, weld it in place, that way it's good. And then it's on to installing the cooking grate kind of rests or rails, and you can kind of see how nasty it was in there, rusty and whatever, but you just clean it up and weld through it. You know, where you need to weld, you weld. You clean it up pretty good. Then start making these grates. I figured, you know, I'd make this grate with a little bit of geometry to it, so that way I could get maximum cooking space in here, because 80-gallon air compressor tank isn't massive, and I kind of wanted to use everything down to the smokestack. So I figured I'd make 2 grates, that way I could kind of install one piece and slide it in and install the other piece. And here I was already working with some expanded metal, so I figured I'd just get the bottom expanded metal installed. Always a good feeling. And get these grates set on in, and that's fine. No upper rack on this one. Figured keep her simple. And here's the first test run. Getting it outside, and not really a test run yet, just gonna light a fire and get everything cooking. But first, thorough wash. I didn't get it on camera, but I used the wire wheel, and I used some water and stuff and ground the hell out of the inside of this thing. And then I actually took the garden hose and sprayed it out, not just that little jug.
Just gonna get a little rip roar going. Try this thing out and get it all sneezened up. This thing's humming right along. We're at like 450, 475. Nice burn on this. Only needs a little bit longer. And then we'll be throwing on some beef ribs, some pork spare ribs. That's right. Ooh, beef plate ribs. Thanks, Chuds. We'll do good work on these. Ooh, these are gonna be good.
Those do look good.
Man. This is when you figure out that you actually don't have as much space as you once thought. And 2 racks of beef plate ribs take up the entire back of your cooker. I don't know though. We could probably fit at least 3 or 4 racks on there still, as far as pork spare ribs.
Oh yeah.
About 275. I think we're about 4 hours into this cook. The spare ribs are wrapped. Those beef ribs are looking mighty fine. Still got a couple more hours in those. But it'll be good. Honestly, this beef rib is just fucking ridiculous. It's like 5 hours, 5 or 6 hours exposed. No rest, no wrap, no nothing. And we're just thinking about giving her hell. That is exactly what we were looking for. A solid ass coal bed. I've been smoking for at least
man, 8-10 hours. We're a little bit low right now, but I'm about to pull everything off and pull it into the oven. Yeah, I think we're at 170, 180. It should be sweet if I can maintain that, but not the case. So good first burn, good first cook. Well, I promise I wasn't intoxicated at all when I ate that beef rib. Either way, there's some leg of lamb on there and some pork belly. Got the direct heat pit going too. These things, it just cooked awesome. It was super fun. I love the way it looks, love the way it cooks. If you guys like this video, please like and subscribe, share it with your friends, and hopefully it won't be too terribly long until I have the next video out. Happy New Year.